2 months with the 2024 M2 iPad Air 13-inch, and for reference I have the base spec model, so I believe it has 8 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabytes of storage. That's not super important to me because all I'm going to be doing is drawing on this. I don't really need 256, 500, 1 terabyte. It would be nice, but for the moment, the 128 is perfectly fine. So after 2 months with the M2 iPad Air, the first thing is chair sinking. So I'm not going to be able to show it on the video, but there is a scratch on the screen, like right around here. I used this without a screen protector for the first, 2 months. I noticed a scratch on it probably about a month and a half in, and I think it's because I have cats and sometimes I'll leave this iPad on my desk, and since I don't really have an office at the moment, my office is just in the living room. So the cats, when I'm asleep or whenever I'm, doing something, they'll jump on my desk. And I think what it was is one of the cats actually jumped on the desk, and when they did that, their claw scratched the screen. It's not a really bad scratch, it's very minimal. So whenever I noticed that scratch, I went and bought just like a cheap screen protector on Amazon. And, the scratch with the screen protector is not even visible. You couldn't even really notice it without the screen protector. It was just if you look at it right, like, if you hold it up like this and you kind of get eye level with it, you could kind of notice the scratch there. Not really bad. I think it was from the cats. I don't think it was from drawing, though I have done a lot of drawing on this thing in that time. In 2 months, I probably have a couple hundred hours of drawing on this thing, and some of the issues that I had in the first month they're not as noticeable, so I think it was some software issues, but yeah, I noticed one of the things that was happening in the first month of usage was the Apple Pencil would disconnect from the iPad whenever I was drawing or using it. And it happened pretty frequently, at least once a day probably. In the second month, I've only had that happen about 2 times, and each time it would reconnect after I just, connected it back to the iPad, and before I would have to fully restart the iPad, so that's an improvement there. That's getting better with the updates. I got it only a couple of weeks after release. I think they got that worked out. Another issue I had in the first month was it would seem like this thing would overheat with just like minimal usage, but I can now say that is mostly fixed. It still will overheat if you're like outside and you're drawing, in 95-degree weather, which I do go on my front porch sometimes and I like to draw outside. And in that instance, yes, the brightness will go down and it won't let you bring it back up unless it cools. So that's to be expected. You're outside in 95-degree weather. That's gonna happen. General indoor usage, I haven't had that happen at all. So that's really good. That's an improvement because that did happen indoor before. Those were really the only 2 issues I had with the device. I mean, part of it would be it would get hot like right up here whenever that would happen, just indoor usage and such. It hasn't happened indoor usage, like I said, so that's not an issue. Battery life, still very, very good on this thing. I never have to worry about the battery life. Like currently, I was just doing studies on it, this morning, and I drew on it some last night. I haven't charged this in over 24 hours, and the battery is at 57%, so very good there. Absolutely love the battery life. Never have to worry about that, and I love it. The camera on this thing is okay. You're not gonna be going outside taking photos. I'd rather just use my phone for that. Here's a video of me using just the front camera, and this is kind of the quality you're gonna expect from the front camera with the current lighting I have. This is the quality with the back camera, and this is what you can expect for the lighting and everything that I have. There was an instance actually where me and my wife, we're currently watching through Game of Thrones, and I'll be sitting on the couch with my iPad, and I'll see a good like scene in there or a good composition in that, and so I'll pause the show and I'll just take the iPad and I'll just snap a photo of directly on the TV, and then I'll use that as like a study to study the composition and things like that. For that usage, it works really good. But if you're in a quick pinch like that and you already have your iPad on you and you're already drawing, or you're looking for a composition and you're just there on your TV, you're sitting down on your couch watching TV, yeah, just snap a quick photo and start studying that composition. Yeah, I mean, I exclusively use this tablet to basically draw, and that's about it. Draw, study, paint, everything in between. Now, the cool thing is yeah, this is an investment, right? Like, you're buying this as, for me anyway, this is an investment. I'm buying this and I'm looking at it as, okay, it's an investment for my mental health, but it's also an investment to make its money back. And for that, I can say it has definitely already paid itself off. At the base spec, I paid around $1,200 for, including the Apple Pencil Pro, and after 2 months, I had enough commissions to pay that back. So it's fully paid itself off. So yeah, good investment there. And this thing is going to continue to pay itself off for many, many years. I have noticed that with this new screen protector, as you can see, it's reflecting me right now. With this new screen protector, it's very reflective. Like, it's so much more reflective than it was without. Something to do with the glass on this thing does make it like anti-reflection, but it's not a matte screen protector. It's just kind of like, I guess, an increase in glass quality. I'm not really sure. If you put a screen protector on this thing, it's going to more than likely, unless it's a matte screen protector from Paperlike or something, it's more than likely going to reflect more, and that does kind of bother me, considering the iPad only gets to about 600 nits. It makes reflections even more noticeable than they were. I'm considering getting a Paperlike matte screen protector to kind of fix that, because yeah, the screen protector I currently have on it kind of made that issue a little bit more noticeable for me, and it can get kind of annoying. If you buy this thing and you're going into it thinking about getting a screen protector, go ahead and get a matte screen protector, as with the brightness levels and things like that, it's going to be harder to use unless you get a matte screen protector. So go ahead and get one of those. I would not recommend getting a normal one. I mean, if you're in a bind or you're in a pinch and you really just need something to protect it, it's fine. And again, the reason I went for an M2 iPad Air is because the features of that Apple Pencil for me are necessary. That squeeze functionality, I cannot live without it. There's just no way I could go back to any kind of pencil without a squeeze function. So from now on, if I get an iPad, I'll just have to get one that has the Apple Pencil Pro, because I really cannot go back. I chose the 13-inch iPad Air because the aspect ratio is very important to me. It's such a good aspect ratio for drawing. If you go for the 11-inch, the aspect ratio is going to be more narrow, like 16:9 aspect ratio. This is more of like probably like a 5:4. Much better for drawing than like a 16:9 is. If you're thinking about buying an iPad to draw on, definitely go for one with the aspect ratio of that. I think the 10-inch iPads have that aspect ratio, and the 13-inch. Overall, I really don't have any complaints. It seems like it's getting better with time. The iPad is snappy, never lagged on me. Not one time have I ever felt an ounce of lag. No matter how many layers I have, you can do very high resolution files on here and still have a lot of layers. I think at my resolution that I do on my MacBook, which is 8K, you can do like 19 layers or something. So pretty good there. Though I never really do that resolution anymore. I tend to go for a little bit smaller so I can have a little bit extra room with layers. So the resolution I currently use is more around like 4K, but I can get around 49 layers, and that is plenty. I'm never going to exceed that many layers, so that is perfect there. Overall, 2 months with the M2 iPad Air 13-inch 2024 version. I'm absolutely loving it, and I can highly recommend this to anyone who wants to get into art, or even if you want to do art professionally. I think this device can do that. Though I'm not a professional myself, I do a lot of freelance and professional-ish work on it, so I think that yeah, you'll be perfectly okay with this. If this is going to be the only device you get to drawing on, like if you don't want to get a desktop or anything like that, if this is going to be your only way to draw digitally, I say go for the iPad because it is amazing. Honestly, go for the base model. You don't need 512 gigabytes or a terabyte. I have a external SSD and I just plug that into the USB-C port. It's USB-C, and I transfer files over to that if I start to get low on space. That's perfectly okay with me. It's gonna save me a lot of money in the long run to not go for that. Now, when I get to the point where I'm making a crazy amount of money, I would just go for the bigger one. But if you're on a budget, go for the base model. It is perfectly usable. You will not regret it, I promise. That's my 2-month review of the 13-inch M2 iPad Air. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments and let me know. I will be answering as many questions as I can, and I may do an update video in another month, or I might do a 6-month review. Who knows? We'll just take it day by day. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.